Oh, hi. This week it's Granitecon. Finally, I'm going to show you my table setup. I'm going to give a recap of the convention once it's over, but today is Thursday, so this is the first day we're allowed to set up. Convention starts tomorrow, but I'm going to do the rest of my setup before we open tomorrow. And then I'm likely just going to be bringing my inventory back and forth, but not actually breaking down any of my setup stuff. And here's a little clip from last night where I stayed up till way past my bedtime. I stayed up till about 1:30 because I was on a mission to finish the last 2 main things, technically 3 to 4 main things that I was just like desperate to have done, and it was going to bother me if I didn't finish them. Hell yes, this is me finishing cardigan number 9 and number 10 in a less than 48-hour window. I started these yesterday morning. There is a bug in here. It was not a bee, so I don't really give a shit. But yeah, that was wildly satisfying to get through, and now I don't have to think about anything fleece now. I did have a little bit of a dramatic time trying to clean out my sewing machine just because there's so much fluff using fabric like this, and I had to take more pieces out of the bowels of my machine than usual, and I dropped one of the teeny tiny screws in the wood shop trying to find a screwdriver that had like a magnetic something to it, because I know some screwdrivers do, and that would have been helpful, but alas. Thankfully, I believe Jeanette sent me some hemostats, which are helpful for like turning stuff out, but also really helpful in this situation because I was able to like hold that, get the screwdriver I gained purchase with it, and then was able to screw it down and finally got it back together. I was freaking out because I have a lot of sewing to do. Oh, today is Tuesday, the 6th, so it is officially 10 days before the first day of the convention. Both of my non-self-employed jobs on the day before, so I don't really have that day available. So I'm trying to plan to have everything done by Wednesday, and I also need to keep in mind I need basically a day to put all the signage together, so like I need to be done sewing a week from today. I need to be done by next Tuesday. Also, just in case you're wondering what the body count was for needles getting broken during 10 cardigans, they're all in that bin right there, and also 13 fleece hats because my god, I only managed to break 2, and it's just because my walking foot, if there's something really bulky under it and you go to reverse, it like moves it forward in a way that the needle hits it. That's what almost always causes my needle to break. Anyway, I'm gonna go watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with my friends because there's some new episodes released, and we've been waiting like 6 months for anything new to come out, so I'm really excited to go do that, and I need to like relax for the evening. I might submit some art to Sticker Mule and get some acrylic charms made and make them real tiny and get earrings done, because the relief I'm feeling thinking about outsourcing that instead of trying to make all that stuff with my Cricut, doing the shrink plastic. I don't know if I've ever shown y'all how I make my little charm jewelry, but I love doing it, but it's a lot of time and a lot of work, and if I want to get the stuff sewn that I want to, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. So I'm feeling like this weight being lifted off when I consider outsourcing some of that stuff. And I think if I order enough things, I can get faster shipping. I'm gonna scope it out and maybe do that before bed tonight. We'll see. I gotta mull it over. And then there is still some work I'm gonna have to do to those charms. Obviously, like put them on the earrings. This way I can like have one that's a necklace, one that's a keychain, and then have like 3 or 4 pairs of earrings. And then if people want to customize that into something else at the event, I can have that option available. But I'm gonna have to put clear coat on the back of them because I have to do that for like all the keychains and stuff like that. Any of the acrylic stuff from Sticker Mule, because there's not like a good protective layer on the design on the back side. The front side's fine. That would still leave some work I have to do, but make way less on my plate because I have to do a lot of like aftercare once I make the charms to start with myself, but there's also designing it, cutting it out with the Cricut. I never get clean cuts on the Cricut, so I have to spend a lot of time cutting the rest of it out with the X-Acto knives. And then I have to color them in before or after they get baked. I often lose a couple in the baking process because they don't shrink evenly. I do have a heat gun that my partner let me borrow, so I was going to test stuff out with that, but like I want to put proper amounts of time into the testing process, and I don't have that right now. There will be other events. I don't need to make everything for this. I have a set of keychains coming that are Our Flag Means Death themed, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, I just got very hungry and I am brain fried, so I'm ready to not be sewing anymore because it's been almost 24 hours out of the past 36 and I'm pooped. Pardon construction noises, but look at what my sister dropped off for me. If someone left it in her building when they were moving out, it's like a 2-foot tall shoe rack. But because it's so short and like nice and wide, but nothing too obtrusive, I think I'm gonna set it up behind my table so that I have better storage. Obviously I cleaned everything, like I scrubbed it for probably half an hour because it was someone else's shoe rack and I don't want to touch that. But as far as having easy access to storage, like having my bags for people out here and like extra business cards, I think things like that will be helpful. And then yeah, as I restock, having like my bags of my bags on here so they're not cluttering the backside of the table, I think that's going to be really, really helpful. So we'll see how it goes. It may not pan out, or it may be like the greatest thing that's ever been thought of. So very thankful she dropped these off this morning. I also got to see my puppy nieces and I love them so much. Also my like actual human nephews, which I also love very much, but you know, dogs first always. I use this K-cup spinner that I got from Goodwill for like $1. I find that the keychains kind of like mush together. If you see on the bottom rung, there's nothing really separating each of the slats. I mean, there's a couple just to like hold it together, but they keep like shifting next to each other and I don't like it. So I just took some washi tape. I have backup because there's no way this is going to hold up all weekend. I was using wire and that wasn't going to stay put. I needed something sticky and I didn't want to use something bulky like electrical tape, where this is like a little more finessed, I think. Just put some washi tape around all the spots so they'll at least be a little bit contained, and we'll see how that goes. Once I started counting my inventory and realized how much I actually had made, it did get me to calm down and feel like I didn't need to keep panicking about not having enough. I have plenty. I have plenty of inventory. And if I sell out of stuff, that's good. I don't want to have a bunch of stuff left over. So if a certain type of thing does sell out, then I can fill up more table space with other things. The one thing left on my list, it does say Wristlets ? Because there are some specific designs like my Beetlejuice fabric, the Exploding TARDIS fabric, and my Sonic fabric. Oh, and the Disney Villain fabric. I would love to make wristlets out of those, and literally even if it's just one of each of those, to just bring 4. That would be great to get done tonight / tomorrow morning, but also I'm working in the tap room till like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then tomorrow I'm gonna have to be heading out by noon. It's not the end of the world if I don't finish them. I would just like to have them. Also, I just remembered, I still have the velvet, oh, it's this pile here. I still have the velvet bags I want to make that are dice bags that are Our Flag Means Death themed, and I need those to be done, so those will be finished before the end of today. I'm only making at least like 2. If I have like 2 on my table, great. As far as other things I got done, I did get these Lighthouse stickers, which it's the same design as the keychain, and I did in fact get my acrylic charms in last night that I ordered, which had the Lighthouse design. There's a Steven Universe one, a Ramona Flowers one, and a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure one. I ordered 10 1-inch acrylic charms of each design so that I could make necklaces and earrings. So I clear coated them the second I got the box, put the like lacquer on the back of all of them, let them dry outside, and then I brought them in and let it like fully set because I didn't want to mess up the back, so I let them dry for probably like 8 hours or something. And then when I finished marathon sewing last night, after that, I made all of the jewelry, which took not as long as I thought, but I also had 40 charms to deal with, so like it was a bit, and then packaging them all. So I'm happy with how it finished. But Bert is certainly grumpy with me that I didn't hang out with him much last night. And I think he knows that I'm not going to be around much this weekend. We're like, my partner's going to be here hanging out with him, so it's not like he'll be abandoned by himself the whole weekend. But I do feel bad when I have to leave for a full day like I'm going to be doing so many days in a row. That is why I decided to go the route of juggling multiple part-time jobs. Also, like, I don't want to blow my brains out like I did at almost all of my other full-time jobs. So. Oh, hi, Furnace. The stuff I do here, I'm also viewing as multiple part-time jobs, actually, because it's the Etsy shop, which I'll call the Artist Alley stuff and Etsy shop like one job. Like building inventory is kind of the work that I do, and then the actual events, or actually making the listings and doing a launch, where the YouTube stuff is like kind of a whole different animal. Yes, I'm still sewing, but there's a lot more involved, especially having the Patreon. And honestly, most consistent part of my income, Patreon, that a bunch of you support and like literally couldn't do this without you, so thank you for that. But I do view it as a job, especially because of that. I have gone down a weird rabbit hole. Anyways, I'm gonna look at my signage and see if there's anything missing. I guess I can do that after I've set up the display, because I have my price list, I have the individual signs. I also made some like mini stickers so that if someone buys some jewelry or gets like some of the smaller bags and I put it in one of my paper bags, I can seal it with one of those. And I just thought it'd be cute to have those. So this is the sheet I was looking for, where I printed out my most recent table setup, because only a couple weeks ago, and drew out what I had for new pieces. Like I have the hat display, so that's gonna go on top of the triangle thing off to the left there. And then I'm gonna bring like my necklace stand, which I didn't have previously, and just where I'm gonna put like the mystery bags and the dumpling pouches, just how everything's gonna be set up. Also, this was like wind-proofed because we were outside, so it's actually gonna be a little nicer than this, and I can have like my little mini easels out to have signs taped to those and not having to like duct tape it to the table, you know? Oh, and am I gonna cut that fabric to be a tablecloth? I've thought about it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna serge the edges and then I'll have it. I need to just do it because I've been thinking about it every day for weeks, and it's time. It's time to just cut it, and if I don't use it, I have a ton more of it and can still use a 6 or 7 foot panel of this. I just realized I didn't get to film anything yesterday, so we're on my tote bag wall because I get this whole little side section here, and then so like here's my table space, but then there's this like little wall here, and since this guy took half of it, I am manspreading and taking the other half. So my best friend did some decorating, put up some fairy lights yesterday, and I'm really liking the setup. Yesterday was slow, but it's the first time they've ever done a Friday, and it's my understanding most Fridays at multiple day conventions are like pretty slow. Today's when all the events are happening, all the celebrities are gonna be here, where not all of them were here yesterday. I'm gonna scoot behind my table. Also, look how official. I had stuff hanging on these across here. I'll set those up again, and then I'm gonna put my Totoro hoodie on my dress form. So yeah, and the shelves down here, these ones have been very helpful. There's a guy dressed as Jesus walking around with a cross, and the cross is a skateboard. Oh, yes. You're welcome. Okay, it's really hard to find the window to record, but I have officially made my table back and like covered all my other expenses, so I sold my Totoro hoodie, and that was exciting because I had it as a display piece and wasn't actually even sure if anyone was gonna get it. It's just kind of a space filler, but yeah. And this is a different Pikachu hat because someone bought the other one as I was sewing instantly. So yay. Oh, it's like 3 o'clock on Saturday. It's a slow start, but feeling okay about it. That was you. Hey! Oh shit!
Hey, man. Good. Long time.
Yeah, oh yeah. Map part. That's the best. That's so funny. Oh my god. Oh, I don't know. Okay, hi. I'm finished day 2. I'm waiting for my phone to load so I can order food. So I'm just pulled over in a parking lot. Today went all right. Almost made twice my table back. Not quite. So I don't know what number you would call that, but still, like, I have made the most I've ever made at any event. So like, not feeling too bad about that. And also there's a whole nother day. So the fact that including table fee, parking, gas, the sign that I bought. I used up a lot of material I already had, but some I purchased. All of those bases are covered. So like I am actually paying myself now, and I have the whole day tomorrow to get through that. I am planning to make at least like a couple more tote bags because that's been one of the bigger sellers, and because I have a lot of really fun fabric. Like I sold both my Sonic ones, one of my Beetlejuice ones, sold both my Exploding TARDIS ones, and I still have all of that fabric. And I've been doing some hand sewing at the table while I'm standing. Someone saw me sewing it and was like, can I buy that one? So once you're done making it, I can have it. Like I'll wait till you're done, and not in a pressurized way. Like he just hung out, and it was a super nice kit. That was nice. I did finish a second one while I was there, and probably tomorrow. It's just something to keep my hands busy. And like if someone sees what I'm doing, it also shows that bit of interest, and just shows like, hi, I made all the things that are here, because not everyone understands that they're handmade things, even though the sign says handmade garments and accessories, but whatever. One of the celebrity guests, I did not know who this person was. I just saw someone had a dog, and they were walking by my table and like looking at the cardigans that I had. As he slowed down, it was kind of looking at my table while I was packing up. It was after the hall technically closed, but like artists and obviously like celebrity guests were the only ones in the area. And I'm not anywhere near where their signing tables are, but he was walking through, and like he has a little chihuahua. Apparently his name is Wingman, the dog. I have no idea what the guy's name is. He was really nice and was talking to me about like a custom order, and tried on some of the cardigans that I had, and it was only brought to my attention afterwards. Anyway, I think my phone's ready for me to order food, so I'm gonna do that. But wanted to update. It's funny, when I watch Artist Alley vlogs, and I know this from experience, I should know better, but I find myself disappointed when there's not clips like during the events, like during the day, or even little follow-ups, but there's literally no time. There's literally no time. It's only because I am waiting to acquire food to stuff my face so that I can go home, do a little bit more work, and conk out, or I'm just gonna conk out. If I start to get really tired, I'm just gonna go to bed, because self-preservation is of utmost importance. Okay, hi. It is days after the event ended, and I just finished the rest of the velvet bags that I was talking about. By the way, let me show these to you. I only had one ready for the convention, and thankfully someone got it. That wasn't even a Our Flag Means Death fan. They just thought the bag was really cool, which made me even happier, to be honest. He just thought like the block printing and the fabric choices and stuff was nice, and that, yeah, made me really happy. Here's the burb. I got a purple bottom and a purple lining. I will have some red ribbon strung through the channel that I have right here, and it can cinch up. And I have 5 made. I have one that's all cut out and ready for me to sew together, but I'm going to save that for next week for the video I'm going to do on it, and that'll finally be a sewing project. Okay, this is me being very sassy, and it's not like this person wasn't justified in there. People are allowed to feel how they're going to feel, but I did get a comment, I think on my last video, where it was like the prep for the event, and this is the rest of that video, like the recap and letting you know how the table setup went, and we'll do a time lapse in a minute. But yeah, someone commented with, I hate that this isn't about sewing anymore, and it made me mad. I mean, my knee-jerk response to stuff like that is to get really defensive, because why wouldn't I? I will agree that the last month or so has been very event heavy, but that's because my life has been very event heavy. I legit went from 0 to 60 with events, so this is my whole existence right now. That being said, it did make me laugh reading that, because I have sewn more in the past couple weeks than I have the past 3 years combined, like without question. I just haven't been showing the intimate details of the projects I've been putting together, but I will eventually show those. I just need to put the time into building the inventory first, and then I'll pick a fun design to put together, and we can make something together, and like maybe I'll actually keep something for myself, because I rarely do that with these things. I'm not against getting feedback, and that person isn't wrong that I haven't been doing like the make-in chats as much as of late, and if that is bothering y'all, let me know. I fucking love watching art fair prep and Artist Alley prep and like convention videos. It's all I've been watching other than Rachel Maxey videos for about a month now. Sarah Richard, who's my favorite artist, we were almost table neighbors. She was at like the end cap table, and I was a couple up from the end, so in the same neighborhood, which was also cool, because then when we were breaking down, she came over to say hi and ask how the convention went. This is the very first time I've ever felt like I was among peers and not just a person at a place that shouldn't be in the Artist Alley, and like I'm just a fan of a lot of the people that attend this convention in particular, because I've been going to it for so long, either in the artist alley or as a attendee. But yeah, it was a really nice shift in my perspective. Like, no, I'm also here for a reason. And yeah, so those couple conversations, and with the table neighbors I had directly on either side of me, it was just really nice. All right, so Thursday I did my initial setup. I was one of the very first people in the artist alley, and when I saw where my table was located, there was just this big gap of extra space between me and the guy to the right of me. So I didn't know what to do with that when I was first setting up, so that's why nothing else is there. But that will progress. Finally bought like a nice tablecloth. I used to have this green one where it was solid green on the top. Oh, actually, I'm sitting on it because I have a leather chair and I get sweaty. Where this was the front of it, didn't have any theme or rhyme or reason to do green polka dots. Also, I'm realizing like I have a lot of fabric to use now, and I don't dislike this, but I am not a polka dot person much anymore. They have a time and place, but in general, it's not like green and white is my color palette on the table or anything. Where something I have tried to do for most of the years that I've done a table is have all black or silver display pieces, because all my stuff has always been so bright and colorful, like the actual items that I'm selling. But finally switching to the all black base made me very happy. I almost put this like teal plaid fabric on there. There's so much going on with the actual things that I'm selling that I don't want to distract from that. I even kind of accidentally at first ended up wearing black and white outfits all 3 days of the convention. I actually can't remember what I was wearing when I set up, but obviously you're seeing it, so I would not be surprised if it was a black and white outfit. I always thought it looked cool, but I was not cool enough to wear such things. Where what a wild mentality to have, but I've come a long way and was able to wear the things I wanted to wear. What a concept. I did exactly what I did the first time, and I sketched out specifically what I wanted where, if I was going to adjust anything, signs on the table, updates to the signage, any price tweaks. I'm pretty content with my pricing right now, so I didn't have to update that, but I did have new items. I had designated like, okay, I have earrings and necklaces now, where am I going to put that stuff? So mapping it all out was helpful. I didn't initially put the necklace stand out on Friday for some reason, even though that was like my favorite part of my table later on in the convention. So I don't know. It's a learning process, and I'm sure with this Halloween market coming up, I will also be changing things as it goes. Because I had this sidewall free that I was not expecting to have, like the right edge of my grid cubes. Having that, I was like, well, if I hang my tote bags here, and I had it in my head, the tote bags had to be right next to it. So that's why I traded spots. Thankfully, by Saturday morning, I had realized like, nah, I'm gonna move these, and I could still use that display wall to hang the totes. And I ended up selling a bunch of totes on Saturday, so that was rad and like effective use of my space. I only ended up selling one wristlet, and it's interesting how different events lead to different focuses of inventory, and there's just no predicting it. Where I have worked a Harry Potter market at the same exact venue, just one was in the spring, one was in the fall, I believe, where I had made a bunch of wands. I had them for the same price both times. It was the same batch of wands. I think technically before the first Harry Potter market started in 2019, I had sold out of all of my wands just by people walking by that were like setting up, like fellow artists and things. All of them sold out. So then I made a bunch for the fall market, and I think I sold like one or two. So it's just unpredictable what's going to happen. Everyone was very focused on the wristlets, and I did have more tote bag designs this time around because I made a huge push. I stayed up till like 1:30 in the morning just finishing the totes, which is probably a clip you saw earlier. Okay, I completely lost track of what I was saying. I am so tired, not physically, I've been sleeping okay. My brain is so fried because I've just had to do so much peopling. I've learned that I'm very introverted, so I didn't do any after party stuff. Also, like, it was too densely populated, some of those things, for my comfort level, where I was behind a table the whole time. And there was an event that I haven't missed since it started 7 years ago, and it was Outdoor Brewfest. I got invited to work it, and I've gone to every single one, and I've worked all of them every time. And I missed out on it, and I could have pushed through. I could have gone and hung out. I knew it was gonna absolutely destroy me, and I would have been even more of an asshole on Sunday. So I paced myself with that. I was gonna hammer a bunch of stuff out in like work some late nights because that's often what I would do at previous conventions, but I knew sleep was more important and like making sure I was fed and watered. So I made the adult decisions, and yes, I would have done a little bit better had I taken the time to restock some things, but like that time wasn't really there, and I would have been worse off just as a person existing in a public space had I not done that for myself. So different priorities, very helpful priorities. I think I would have had a fucking meltdown on Sunday had I done any of those things that were offered to me. Yeah, I can't be everywhere all at once. Oh boy, let's get back on track. What the fuck else was I talking about? Table setup? I liked it. I actually got pretty welled up once I had my backdrop in place. Just really pumped about how that looked, and stepping back and seeing my banners, picturing what all the stuff was gonna look like on there. I got a little teary because I've just come so far. I have been very lucky with some of my thrift store finds, so the backdrop was probably the most expensive part of this whole thing, but I'm also going to use that here in the studio for a multitude of things. If you didn't have an Artist Alley lanyard, your ass had to go like the minute the convention hall closed. So I did appreciate that, and I didn't have to break down things as tediously as I did and bring as much home as I did, where I left all the display stuff. But that first Friday night, I took everything inventory wise home, and I really didn't need to. So the guy to the right of this partial wall thing had put one of his banners up, like from the floor to like 8 feet tall or something like that. And that took up about half of the wall section, and it was covering like an electric panel and just made it look nicer as well. So Friday night I was like, man, it bums me out that like that guy took up that space. So I decided Saturday morning to bring my dress form, because I also didn't have a great way to display my cardigans in a way people could like touch them, like get up in there. So this was a helpful way to do it, and specifically my Totoro hoodie, because it's the nicest texture. I wanted people to have access to it because it looks nice, but I wanted them to like experience the niceness. Once I set up my dress form, the guy to the right came over and was like super thankful that I had. He's like, oh, I'm so glad you're using that space. In that interim, it had occurred to me that like, if I do not take up this space, somebody else is going to. And I at first I was nervous that like that guy was going to take over more space. I hadn't talked to him at all, so I had no reason to think this. But then I was like, I've seen people take over an empty table like fucking vultures. I don't know. It's just, it's not in my personality to do that type of taking up space. I feel, and the table neighbors seem to agree, like we, more than anybody else, should be using that space. We're like, had someone that works at the con come by and told me I had to move what I had brought there, I wouldn't have argued it, because it's not like I'm entitled to extra space. I paid for a 6-foot table, but I knew, especially because there was like a flat shelf, that somebody was going to put their shit there, and it was going to make me big mad. So the guy to the right also thanked me because us together took up that space so nobody else could do that, because it was going to make both of us mad, and we like joked about that, and everything was good. Anyway, couldn't have been nicer, and I was very much projecting some like unkind things on this poor dude. So made friends with people both sides of the table, very much enjoyed the space. So yeah, just if you aren't feeling like you're doing super well at events, like it's gonna take some time to get there. I have just finally grown into myself way more than I ever did before, and that has clearly translated in a lot of ways. But I got to walk away with, you know, some money to pay my credit card down from some of the fabric I bought earlier in the summer, and our vacuum died, so I had to go and get one of those. And you know, groceries are so mind-blowingly expensive right now. I was able to help cover some of that with what I made, and I still have whatever amount the table costs for next year whenever I buy it. Like, I have that set aside. But yeah, just incredible. The other thing that I did to the table, right, day 3, I was extra bold, and because I sold my Totoro hoodie that I had on the dress form, that was like the main thing for it. The other cardigans I had, I liked how they looked on hangers on my garment rack. Also, there's just a bigger range of colors, where highlighting, like having a showpiece like my Totoro hoodie was awesome, and I really liked doing that. And then yeah, someone bought it, and that just made me very excited, because it was $85, which feels like a lot, but is also not even paying me for half of the time I put into it. So I know I need to account for these things when I price stuff, but still, that's probably the most I've ever sold something for. So that felt really nice, and the person didn't question spending the money on it or it being worth that. And like that was also reassuring, you know? But having my cardigans out, if I was gonna highlight one, I wanted like the whole range to be out there, and that's why I had hung some of them on my backdrop. But I also have a lot of colorful stuff on the table. Having a bunch of colorful stuff in front of the black backdrop I had set up, I didn't love how that was looking. So also having that off to the side and keeping that everything black look with the inventory popping on the table, like it was too distracting having the cardigans behind me. So I brought my garment rack. Yeah, I was able to hang all my stuff there, and it was nice having that much more inventory out, and like people would go through it and touch all the things, and it's good and bad having people touch stuff, right? The thing with the cardigans and the hats I was making is I was offering free custom appliques, essentially, where I was going to hand sew them on, like the Pikachu hat I was making at the convention. Quick enough to sew like a star onto a pocket by hand if someone, you know, comes by, asks for the thing, goes to a panel for an hour and comes back, like I will have enough time to handle the table as well as sew that stuff on. So that felt like a manageable thing to offer. I did overhear someone say that $65 for one of my cardigans seemed like a lot, but they were also the person making the "you can get that cheaper on Amazon" type comments about something else, not at my table, but like something else they had seen in the vendor hall that they were talking about with someone else. So like, I don't know how personally to take that. I don't know if $65 for a handmade color block cardigan, and I would love feedback if $65 is reasonable. I don't know. I'm bad at gauging these things, but that's why I'm asking for feedback. So I know it's not for everybody. Like, I would not spend $65 on a cardigan, but I will take the time to make it, and I know not everybody can sew their own clothes, so I'm not the person to ask. Oh, okay. I think those are all the things. I think I've been talking for so long, and I know I have a lot of longer clips in here too, so I will wrap up. My stomach is growling. I can hear Bert waking up, so I think it's time for lunch. I'm just feeling very, very grateful for so many things, and as always, even shit like this, where I know I'm making income from selling the things in person, I still wouldn't be able to have had that initial set of materials and my backdrop and my tablecloth and a lot of my display stuff if not for everyone over on Patreon supporting me. Some of y'all have been here for so long, and like coming up on a decade, and I'm just very thankful that you still enjoy hanging out here. Uh-oh, someone would also like to say thank you. Come here.
Hi, baby bean. Did you have a good nap?
I get to work from home doing this stuff for enough of my week every week that I get to have a little guy like this. Like, that was a huge factor in me being able to adopt him, is that I get to do this kind of work as one of my jobs, and that is because of y'all. Like, I don't know that I've ever explained that specific aspect of this, but like, Bert gets to live with me because of y'all. And am I gonna cry about this? We don't need to cry about this. Just letting you know, like, these are the ways y'all are impacting my life in such a huge way. So I hope you are all having a lovely Friday. I'm filming this on a Friday, but today's a no video day, so it's weird saying Friday, but also knowing this will be up on a Friday. Okay, I need to stop speaking and just let myself go into sewing goblin mode for the next week, and I will see you back here with another video next Friday where we will be sewing, not pointing fingers at anybody, but thank you so much for hanging out. Oh boy, I am overpeopled and undersleepled. Because are you at all surprised that I have gone on a very lengthy ramble that I didn't intend to do? Because I'm not.